Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. They said there was once a mountain where time itself bowed. A sacred peak crowned with an ancient bell temple. A place where the hours slept, the seasons listened, and the bells sang the rhythm that kept the world alive. But now, the bells were silent, and the world slowly began to forget how to move. The village below the mountain had felt it first. A cup suspended in midfall, a candle flame frozen in the shape of its last breath. A bird's wings held midbeat like a painting. Time was stuttering, faltering, losing its pulse. And only one person dared climb the mountain to find out why. Her name was Sao. Sao had been born with a strange gift. When she touched something old, stone, dust, moss-covered wood, she could hear echoes of the moments they had witnessed. Not visions, not voices, echoes, soft ripples of time brushing against her skin. Her grandmother used to whisper, "Your gift is a lantern for forgotten hours. Sao, use it wisely. Sao never thought she would use it to save the world. But when the bells fell silent, her gift flared awake like a spark struck in darkness. She heard something calling, a faint trembling in the bones of the earth. A whisper, "Come." The path up the mountain was unnaturally still. Snowflakes hung frozen in the air. Trees leaned but never moved. Even the wind had forgotten how to breathe. Sao walked carefully, carrying a small hand lantern, a relic from her grandmother, whose flame flickered strangely, as if resisting the frozen breath of the world. Halfway up the trail, she passed a fox. It stood mid-step, paw suspended over the snow, eyes fixed forward. Sao gently touched its fur. A ripple rushed into her, an echo, the fox running, its breath misting the cold air, his heart beating with urgency. And then, a bell tone breaking in the distance, followed by abrupt stillness. Sao stumbled back. The sound stopped time. The lantern flickered in affirmation. When she finally reached the summit, the temple stood draped in mist. Tall wooden pillars curved like ancient guardians. Latticed windows glowed faintly with dying candlelight. And above all, the great bronze bells hung motionless, 12 of them, each representing an hour of the night. Sao felt them immediately, their echoes, tangled, trembling, struggling to speak. Something was wrong inside them. She stepped through the temple gates. The air inside was heavy as stone. Dust hung suspended midfall. Monks sat frozen in prayer, robes unmoving. Incense smoke rose in a thin spiral, held still as a carved statue. But one figure moved. A boy no older than 13, stood trembling beneath the bells, hands clutching a wooden mallet far too large for him. His eyes snapped toward Sao the moment she entered. "Why, you're moving?" he whispered, voice shaking. Sao nodded. "So are you." He let out a breath of relief. "I thought the world had ended." Sao looked up toward the bells. "What happened?" He swallowed, glancing at the largest bell, a towering bronze giant engraved with star symbols. "I tried to ring the hour of midnight," he whispered. "It's the bell that keeps the night moving. We ring it once every 1,000 days to renew the flow of time." "And did it ring?" He nodded shakily. Yes, but when the mallet struck it, he pointed to the enormous bell surface, a crack snaking down its side like a frozen river. It broke. Seo's breath hitched. A broken hour, a broken night, a broken flow of time. The boy continued. Everything stopped. Everyone froze. Even the temple guardians turned to stone. Only I. He looked at his trembling hands. Only I was left. Seo's lantern flickered. Her gift stirred. She stepped toward the cracked bell. May I touch it? The boy hesitated, then nodded. Seo placed her palm upon the cold bronze surface. Immediately, the world echoed inside her. 1,000 nights shuddered. A song shattered mid-note. A figure of shadow and frost touching the bell, whispering something that bent the fabric of time. The bell cracking, splitting, bleeding silence. Time collapsing inward. Moments dying like candles smothered by wind. Seo gasped and stumbled back. The boy rushed to catch her. What did you feel? She shook her head slowly. Not see, feel. A chill crawled down her spine. Something touched the bell before you did. The boy's face twisted in fear. A spirit. No, Seo whispered. Worse. Her lantern dimmed. A forgotten hour. The boy whispered. What's a forgotten hour? Seo stared at the cracked bell. An hour erased from time. A moment the world was never meant to remember. A piece of the night that should not exist. The boy froze. Did it break the bell? Seo closed her eyes. Yes, and it isn't done. The lantern flickered violently. A warning. A cold breeze slipped through the temple. The first movement the air had made all night. The frozen monks trembled. Dust began to fall again. The boy swallowed nervously. Seo? She turned slowly. A figure stood in the doorway. Tall, cloaked in shadow, wearing a mask shaped like a cracked hourglass. The forgotten hour had come. It raised a hand. Time buckled. Seo grabbed the boy's wrist. Run. The bells groaned, straining to move, as the temple filled with the cold breath of a moment that was never meant to return. Folded. The air thickened, pressed in, and then peeled away in layers, like pages of an invisible book being turned too fast. Seo's grip on the boy's wrist was the only thing that felt real. Move! She shouted. They dove behind one of the wooden support pillars just as the figure in the cracked hourglass mask stepped fully into the temple. The moment it did, sound thinned to a whisper. The crack in the midnight bell glowed faintly, filling the room with a color that wasn't meant to exist. Not blue, not violet, not black. Something in between. An almost color. An untime. The boy clutched Seo's sleeve. What is it? Is it a god? Seo shook her head slowly. No god would wear a broken moment as a face. The masked figure tilted its head, as if listening. The frozen incense smoke trembled. Dust hung half-fallen. The monks remained locked in place, caught in their last breaths of prayer. Only the lantern in Seo's hand, and the heartbeat in the boy's chest, and the echo in the cracked bell, were moving at all. The forgotten hour raised its hand. Time rippled. A bell cord frayed midair. A spiderweb, half-spun near the rafters, unraveled in reverse. Seo swallowed. It's looking for something. The boy glanced at the cracked bell. Us. No, Seo whispered. feeling her gift stir beneath her skin. It's looking for what it lost. The forgotten hour began to walk. The steps made no sound. Where its foot touched the floorboards, the wood darkened and cracked, not like rot, but like memory being scraped away. Sayo felt each step echo inside her ribs. Her lantern's flame guttered. The boy trembled so hard the mallet in his hands rattled against the floor. The masked figure slowly turned toward the sound. Time tightened. Sayo squeezed the boy's hand. "Don't move." The forgotten hour's empty gaze lingered on their pillar. It lifted its hand, then stopped. The cracked midnight bell groaned. A low, shuddering note vibrated through the temple. The forgotten hour turned toward it instead. It walked to the bell, placed its palm against the crack. The metal shivered. Sayo's power surged the moment its hand met bronze. Her fingers twitched. The echo poured into her without warning. She felt it, a night long ago, when the bells still sang with clear, bright voices. Priest-monks circling the midnight bell, chanting quietly as snow fell beyond the open doors. The bellkeeper, an old man with gentle eyes, raising the mallet, the air holding its breath. Then a shadow slipped between seconds. Not seen, not heard, felt. A hesitation that shouldn't have existed. An extra beat where no beat should be. The bellkeeper's hand faltered. That hesitation, that tiny, almost invisible pause, became a crack in the flow of time. A forgotten second. A fragment. It should have vanished. Instead, it woke up. Curious. Hungry. Asterisk. Why was I left behind? Asterisk, it wondered. So it reached for the bell, touched it, and in doing so, tore itself loose from the river of time. The echo snapped back. Sayo gasped. Her knees buckled. The boy caught her. "Sayo!" She shook her head, eyes wide. "It's not a god," she whispered. "It's a question." The boy stared at her in panic. "That thing?" "Yes." Her voice trembled. A moment that was never meant to be. A scrap of time that woke up and wanted to know why it was thrown away. The boy swallowed. "And now?" Sayo glanced at the figure in the cracked hourglass mask. "Now it wants to make sure no time passes without it." The forgotten hour's hand pressed harder into the bell. The crack widened. The temple groaned. Sayo knew. If the bell shattered completely, what remained of the night's rhythm would die with it. Time would stop stuttering. It would simply stop. Everywhere. She couldn't let that happen. She stepped out from behind the pillar. The boy hissed in alarm. "Sayo!" She lifted her lantern. Its dim flame flared in the presence of the masked figure, as if remembering what brightness used to feel like. "Stop," she said. Her voice barely carried past the weight of the air. The forgotten hour went still, turned to face her, behind the cracked glass of its hourglass mask. No eyes peered back, only swirling fragments of frozen starlight, trapped in midfall. The boy scrambled out from behind the pillar, clutching his mallet defensively. "What are you doing?" he whispered harshly. "You'll make it notice you." "It already has," Sayo said softly. She lowered her hand to the floor and touched the wood. Her gift reached out. She felt every ceremony ever held in the temple, every midnight ringing, every prayer whispered. All of them pointed toward one truth. The bells weren't just timekeepers. They were guardians. If they fell silent for too long, the edges of time frayed. That was why this place existed at all. Seo straightened. "You're not supposed to be here," she told the masked figure. "You're the space between heartbeats, not the heart itself." The forgotten hour tilted its head. Time loosened near her, just enough that the lantern flame began to sway again. A single, distorted voice drifted from behind the mask. "Left behind." The boy shuddered. "It can talk." The voice fractured, skipping like a broken record. "No name, no place, just hollow seconds." Seo's heart clenched. "You were forgotten. I understand that. But if you break that bell, there won't be any seconds left. For anyone." The masked figure's fingers twitched. "Then, no one will leave me." The boy clenched his jaw. "That's not how belonging works." Seo placed a hand on his shoulder. Time wobbled dangerously around them. Cracks appeared in the temple's wooden beams, splitting along the grain. Dust froze and fell and froze again. She looked up at the bells. One cracked, 11 trembling. "My name is Seo," she said softly. "I remember you. I feel you. That's why I'm still moving at all." The mask turned fully toward her. The air thickened. "You remember me?" "Yes," Seo said. "You're the hour that never got to happen. The breath between one bell strike and the next. You were born in almost." The broken voice flickered. "Almost." The boy whispered under his breath. "It's listening to you." Seo took a careful step forward. Her lantern's glow extended, wrapping the floor in a faint circle of warmth. "I can't erase what you are, but I can give you something you didn't get." The masked head tilted. "What?" "A place." The temple shook. One of the smaller bells chimed accidentally, just a tiny clink as it brushed against its neighbor. That little sound rippled like thunder through the frozen air. The forgotten hour flinched. Fragments of time spiraled outward from its body, colliding with the bell's faint note. For a heartbeat, every candle flame flickered at once. Time tried to move, failed. Seo felt the strain in her bones. There wasn't much left before something snapped. "Seo," the boy whispered urgently. "Hurry." She nodded once, then raised her lantern toward the cracked midnight bell. "This bell lost a piece of itself when you were born," she said. "You lost your place when the world chose to forget you. So I'm offering you this. I'll remember you, but you have to let time move again." The forgotten hour twitched. "Remember how?" "In me," Seo said quietly. "In this lantern, in my hands, in my bones. I will carry the memory of you, an hour that almost was. But you can't steal the rest of the night." The masked figure stood utterly still. The boy stared between them, eyes wide. The bells groaned again. Bronze strained. Something was going to give. At last, the forgotten hour spoke. "If I let go, what am I?" Seo swallowed. "You become what you were meant to be." The lantern flame leaned toward the mask, casting its cracked glass in warm light. "Not a god, not a thief, just a pause, a breath, a rest between moments. Something the world doesn't see, but needs." A long silence. Then, The forgotten hour looked at the lantern. I am tired. Seo's chest ached. I know. She extended her free hand toward it. Let me hold you. The world wavered. The boy gasped as the masked figure slowly stepped closer. Each movement loosened time's grip on the temple. The incense smoke resumed its thin curling. The dust finally reached the floor. A monk's sleeve rustled as it continued the motion it had begun hours ago. Seo's lantern blazed bright. The forgotten hour placed its gloved hand in hers. Cold, sharp, empty. Her power surged. Echo flooded in. Every skipped heartbeat, every extra second, every almost moment that people never noticed. The first time a child almost fell and didn't. The pause before someone said, I'm sorry. The stillness right before rain. She saw them all, held them, loved them. You're not nothing, she whispered through tears. You're the space where people choose. The forgotten hour trembled. I wanted to exist. You do, Seo said. You always did. You just didn't have a name. Her lantern flame rose, wrapping around the mask in threads of warm light. The boy shielded his eyes. Seo, it's okay, she said. She looked up at the cracked hourglass mask. I name you Ma, she whispered. The pause between bells. The hourglass crack glowed, not with wrongness, but with soft acceptance. The masked figure shuddered. Then, it dissolved into a swirl of faint light. The broken fragments of time poured into Seo's lantern and into her chest. The midnight bell gave a low, relieved sigh. The crack stopped spreading. Time lurched, then flowed. Snow began to fall again outside. The monks finished their breaths. Candles flickered. The boy dropped to his knees, crying in shock and relief. Seo, you did it, you. But Seo was barely standing. Her heart pounded with too many echoes. Her hands shook around the lantern's handle. The world felt both too fast and too slow. She smiled weakly. I gave it a place. The boy wiped his eyes. And now, Seo looked up at the midnight bell. Its crack still glowed faintly. Now, she said softly, we fix the rest of the night. Outside, beyond the temple doors, the sky changed. Stars slid slightly out of place. Constellations flickered uncertainly. The bells were no longer silent. But time was not healed. Not yet. And somewhere high above the mountain, another presence turned its attention toward the temple. Something older than ours, deep as eternity, not pleased that a forgotten moment had been given a name. The bells were breathing again, not fully, not steadily, but the frozen temple, once locked inside a dying moment, now pulsed with a weak, uneven heartbeat. Seo stood beneath the 12 great bells, her lantern flickering wildly, as if trying to adjust to a world that was remembering how to move. She exhaled shakily, feeling the echo of the forgotten hour Ma settled somewhere inside her ribs. A soft pressure, a hollow warmth, a quiet presence. The boy, still catching his breath, gripped his mallet with trembling fingers. Seo, are you sure you're all right? She nodded, though her knees nearly buckled. I'm just holding more time than before. The boy blinked. That doesn't sound all right. Seo managed a small smile. It isn't. But it's necessary. The lantern flame flared, as if agreeing. The midnight bell, still cracked, groaned softly, not in pain, in relief. The other bells shifted too, trembling in their ropes. The boy's eyes widened. They're responding to you. Seo shook her head. No, they're responding to Ma. The moment I named it, it chose a place in the world again. The bells can feel that. She walked toward the midnight bell. The boy followed, whispering, "Can you fix the crack?" Seo pressed her palm against the bronze. Her touch ignited the echo instantly. A cascade of sounds and sensations surged into her. Countless midnights ringing clear and strong. Monks chanting. Snow falling in silence. Hours spinning gently through the night like constellations turning. But then, the crack, the shattering, the intrusion of the hour that should not exist. Seo pulled her hand away, gasping. I can't fix it. The boy's face fell. Then what do we do? Seo stepped back, thinking. The bell cracked because an hour was missing, and Ma was trying to replace it by force. She lifted the lantern. But if Ma is part of me now, then I can anchor the midnight hour through myself. How? The boy asked. Seo inhaled deeply. By ringing the bell. The boy nearly dropped the mallet. You can't. The temple said only the hour keeper may ring it, and even he nearly died trying. Seo closed her fingers around the lantern. I'm not ringing it as a keeper. I'm ringing it as a vessel. The boy stared. As a what? A vessel for lost time. The wind outside the temple suddenly shifted. A low, sonorous hum filled the air. Deep as ocean trenches, heavy as stone. Both Seo and the boy froze. The bells rattled softly. The boy whispered, Seo, something's coming. Seo felt it too. Her gift, usually a gentle ripple, now surged with warning. Something ancient was watching the temple. Something that had noticed the awakening of a forgotten hour. She whispered, the keeper of the 13th bell. The boy's face went colorless. There is no 13th bell. There isn't, Seo murmured. But there was. The missing hour. Seo walked slowly toward the temple's deepest chamber. A small shrine behind the bell altar. Its sliding doors decorated with faded patterns of stars and moons. She pushed the door aside. Inside lay an empty wooden platform. Dust settled around it, untouched for centuries. The boy pointed with shaking hands. That's the stand for the bell that vanished. Seo nodded. The bell of the forgotten hour. The 13th bell. The lantern flame went still. Her echo sense reached out instinctively. This room was full of memories that tried not to be touched. She knelt and placed her hand on the empty platform. The echo hit her like a cold tidal wave. A bell that once held the night's deepest silence. A bell that rang not to move time forward, but to shelter the hour that wandered between worlds. A bell whose sound could soothe lost minutes and calm restless seconds. A bell that vanished the night it rang for something that should not exist. The forgotten hour. Seo gasped and leaned back. The boy steadied her. Seo, what did you see? She swallowed hard. The 13th bell didn't disappear. It followed Ma. The boy blinked. Followed The hour? Yes. Her voice grew quiet. That's why Ma was so desperate. It lost its home, its bell. She looked up at the empty platform. And now that I've given Ma a name, that bell knows. The boy's eyes widened. It knows where you are. The ground trembled violently. Dust rained from the rafters. A deep booming sound echoed from outside. Not thunder, not storm. A single immense bell tone. Low, cold, impossible. The boy grabbed Seo's sleeve. There's no bell that big in the world. Seo's blood ran cold. It's here. A massive shadow passed over the temple walls. A second tone rang. Louder. Sharper. The sound tore through the air like a blade. Monks gasped awake from their frozen state, clutching their heads in terror. Seo lifted her lantern. The 13th bell has come for Ma. They ran outside the temple doors, and there, floating above the snowy courtyard, hung a colossal bell of impossible design, carved from shadow, wreathed in soft, ghostly blue light, its surface etched with swirling symbols of forgotten hours. But inside the bell, where the hollow should be, was a figure, tall, faceless, wearing a mantle of drifting starlight, the keeper of the 13th hour. Its voice boomed without opening a mouth. You have taken my hour. Seo stepped backward as her lantern flared, reacting to the keeper's presence. She forced her voice to stay steady. I didn't take it. I saved it. The keeper pointed a long, shadowed hand toward her. The hour of almost belongs to no heart. Return it. Seo shook her head. Ma isn't a lost moment anymore. It has a name, a place. The keeper's voice shook the snow from rooftops. Then you have stolen what should never have been given. The boy seized Seo's arm. It wants Ma back. Seo held her lantern close. I won't give Ma to a bell that used it as a prisoner. The keeper raised one hand. The 13th bell above it glowed, and the world around them stuttered violently. Snow fell, stopped, reversed, fell again. The boy cried out, Seo, time! It's breaking. Seo felt Ma pulse inside her chest, terrified. She whispered to it gently, It's all right. You're not alone anymore. Her lantern's flame rose like a star igniting. She stepped forward. You want Ma? The keeper's bell hummed dangerously. Return what does not belong. Seo lifted her lantern high. Then take it from me. The boy shouted in fear. Seo, what are you doing? Her voice was steady. I'm giving Ma a choice. The keeper's shadow expanded. The 13th bell lowered. The courtyard rattled with the weight of ancient hours. Seo stood her ground. Ma, she whispered inside herself. You can go back to the bell that trapped you. The lantern trembled. Or stay with me and help heal the hours that are breaking. A long silence. Then, a soft, familiar whisper inside her chest. Stay. Seo smiled. Then we stand together. The keeper of the 13th bell roared, and the bell above it cracked the sky open. Time shattered like glass, and night itself split down the middle, pouring stars into the courtyard like falling embers. Seo gripped her lantern with both hands. Then come. I won't let you erase the hour that chose to live. The keeper struck the first note, and the true battle for the night began. The first note of the 13th bell did not simply ring. It tore. Sound ripped through the sky like cloth being split, and the night above the temple peeled open in a jagged wound of stars and darkness. Seo felt the vibration slam into her chest. Her knees hit the stone courtyard. The boy cried out and dropped his mallet as the air bent around them, warping light, stretching shadows. The 12 temple bells swung helplessly, their ropes twisting, but no sound came from them. Only the 13th bell spoke. Only the keeper's will mattered. For now, snow rose from the ground like a reversed waterfall, pulled upward toward the cracked heavens. Monks clutched their heads and collapsed, their bodies suddenly too heavy to stand in the fractured gravity of breaking time. The keeper of the 13th hour stood within its hovering bell, mantle of drifting starlight swaying like a slow tide. Its voiceless roar shuddered through the courtyard. You have given shape to what should have been void. Seo pushed herself up, gripping her lantern so tightly her fingers hurt. Ma trembled inside her chest, fearful, but not begging to flee. She took a shuddering breath. I gave it a name, she shouted over the warping air. That's what time is. Names for moments. The keeper's shadowed hand lifted. The bell vibrated again. Time is order, not pity. The second note came. This time the sound didn't just tear. It paused. The moment the bell's unseen clapper struck, the world lurched, and then everything stopped. Snow froze mid-ascent. The monks lay unmoving. The boy's cry hung halfway out of his throat. Only Seo's lantern still flickered. Only her heartbeat still moved. Seo swallowed. What did you do? The keeper's voice slid through the frozen air, unhurried. The first note separated you from the river. The second holds you here, in the interval between movements. Seo glanced around. The temple looked the same, yet sharper. Every grain of wood, every crack in the stone, every breath of mist, held in impossible clarity. Where are we? The keeper stepped forward across nothing, suspended inside its floating bell. Between. Seo's fingers tightened on the lantern. You pulled me into Ma's realm. The keeper inclined its faceless head. You hold what I once guarded. If it will not return. The bell flared with cold, spectral light. Then I will take it by unmaking its vessel. Cold prickled up Seo's spine. So that's it, she muttered. You'd kill me to empty the hour. The keeper did not answer. It didn't have to. Its presence pressed down like eternity. Seo forced herself to breathe. In. Ma pulsed faintly in her chest, a soft tremor of anxious awareness. She spoke inward, as she had in the moment she named it. Ma, can you hear me? A whisper brushed her thoughts, fragile as the space between raindrops. Yes, can you feel this place? A pause. This was my cage. And my cradle. Seo stared at the hovering bell. Asterisk, if we stay here, the rest of the world stays frozen. Time can't move without the bells. We need to get out. Asterisk. Ma's echo shivered. Asterisk. Keeper. Bound us once. It believes. This is safety. Asterisk. Sao lifted her lantern. Your safety is everyone else's prison, she said aloud. The keeper tilted its head again. Better a still world than a broken one. The world is broken, Sao shouted, anger finally splitting through her fear. That's why your hour woke up in the first place. There was a crack in the rhythm, and instead of healing it, you tried to smother it. The keeper's mantle of starlight flared brighter. When a string snaps, you do not add more noise. You cut away the wrong note. Sao blinked. You're wrong. She lifted her lantern until the flame nearly kissed the frozen air. When a string snaps, you rest ring the instrument. The keeper was silent. That silence felt heavier than its voice. Sao seized the opening. You think Ma is corruption, but Ma is the proof that time can't be perfect. There will always be pauses, stutters, skipped beats. That's what makes choices possible. She swallowed. That's what makes living possible. The keeper's shadowed hand flexed. Imperfection is danger. And I'm telling you, Sao said quietly, that it's truth. The lantern flame leaned toward the 13th bell, as if it too wanted to be heard. Let me show you. She reached out with her gift. Not to wood, not to stone, not to an object with a neat edge of memory. To the air, to the very space between instants. It hurt. Echoes rushed into her like 1,000 overlapping whispers. A mother pausing before speaking harshly, and choosing gentleness instead. A warrior hesitating before swinging a blade, then lowering it. A child almost stepping into the road and stopping just in time. Two strangers holding their breath before deciding whether to say, hello. All the tiny choice points, held in unwritten pauses. All the nearly said words. All the nearly taken steps. Sao gasped as the weight of it crashed into her. Ma trembled violently inside her, nearly dissolving into panic. Too much, too much. Sao clutched her lantern with both hands. I know, she whispered, voice shaking, but we have to show it. She turned her gaze back to the keeper. These are your hours, she said hoarsely. The moments that never fully happened. The breaths between actions. The space where we decide who we want to be. The keeper's mantle rippled as if in a wind only it could feel. They are unfinished. Unreal. No, Sao said. They're the foundations of everything real. She took one step forward across the frozen courtyard. Her lantern brightened with each step, fueled by Ma's shaking strength. The world doesn't just move in clean, complete hours. It lives in the almost, in Ma. If you erase that, you erase the freedom inside time. For the first time since it appeared, the keeper hesitated. The 13th bell dimmed slightly. Sao felt the shift and pressed on. You're not a villain, she said more softly now. You're a guardian that's forgotten why it's guarding. She raised her lantern until the flame reflected in the bell's dark metal. You kept Ma locked away out of fear, but Ma didn't break the night. Your refusal to give it a place did. Ma's whisper stirred again within her, small but steadier now. I only wanted to belong. Sao's throat tightened. I know. She met the keeper's faceless gaze. So here's my offer. Let Ma stay with me. Let the bells mark their hours again. And you, her voice gentled. You watch the intervals, not as a jailer, as a steward. Guide the pauses instead of erasing them. The keeper's starlit mantle slowly drew inward. To change my role is to change the law written in the first night. Seo swallowed. Then change it, or watch the temple, the bells, everything, crumble under the weight of a world that isn't allowed to breathe. The silence that followed was deeper than any Seo had ever felt. Even Ma went still. For a terrifying instant, she thought she had failed. Then, the faint, unfamiliar sound. A chime. Not from the 13th bell. From the cracked midnight bell behind her. It had moved. Just a little. Its tongue had brushed the inner bronze, releasing the smallest possible note. A fragile, uncertain tone of pure night. It slipped into the between like a single drop of ink into still water. The keeper's head turned. The frozen world around them rippled. Tiny fractures in the stillness spread outward, like lines of light instead of cracks. Seo realized what was happening. The other bells, she whispered. They're trying to reach us. Back in the frozen temple, beyond the between, the boy stood motionless. But some small part of him, some echo body that existed in the in-between layers of time moved. He'd grabbed the mallet again. His ghost hand, half there, half not, brushed the midnight bell. And the bell, bound to its purpose, had answered. Seo closed her eyes. "Help me," she whispered, not only to Ma, but to the boy, to the bells, to the very night itself. "I can't carry it alone." The 13th bell's glow flickered. The keeper's mantle smoothed, uncertain, as if listening for instructions written nowhere. At last it spoke again. Its voice was quieter. "If I release you, Ma will no longer be bound to my watch." Seo nodded. "Yes. If I accept this, I will no longer be the keeper of what never was. You'll be the keeper of what might be," Seo said. "And that's scarier. But it's also more honest." The mantle of starlight drifted slowly around the bell. The vast shadow of its presence seemed smaller now. Not weak, just less absolute. After what felt like an eternity, the keeper said, "Very well." The 13th bell's inner light shifted from cold blue to a softer, silver hue. "I will not take the hour back," the keeper said, "but I will claim a new name." Its hand extended toward Seo's lantern. "Call me when the intervals threaten to swallow the song. When Ma is overwhelmed by what the world cannot choose." Seo exhaled a shaking breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "I will," she whispered. "What will you be then?" Silence pulsed. Then the answer came. "I will be the listener of pauses." The bell chimed once. The between buckled, then shattered. Time slammed back into place. Snow fell properly. The monks groaned and sat up. The boy stumbled, almost dropping his mallet as momentum returned to his limbs. Seo staggered forward, catching herself on the nearest pillar. Her lantern dimmed to a soft, steady glow. The sky overhead was whole again. The 13th bell was gone. Only the 12 temple bells remained, swaying gently in the cold night wind. The boy rushed to her. "Seo, are you?" She turned to him and smiled, exhausted but present. "I'm here." He sagged in relief. I thought you vanished. Felt like it, she admitted. Her chest gently hummed. Ma's voice brushed her heart like a drowsy thought. Still here. Seo touched the lantern. I know. She looked up at the midnight bell. The crack was still there, but it no longer glowed with untime. Instead, a faint silver line traced its length, like a healed scar. A reminder, not a wound. The boy followed her gaze. It looks different, he said softly. Seo nodded. It is. It remembers now. Not just the perfect nights, but the broken one too. She stepped back to stand in the center of the courtyard. The bells aren't just here to keep time neat, she said. They're here to hold its truth. The boy frowned thoughtfully. What do we do now? Seo lifted her lantern. We do what we always should have done. She looked up at the midnight bell. We ring it. Her heart pounded as she walked to the mallet. The boy swallowed. Together. Seo smiled. Together. They both gripped the handle. Snow whispered around them. The monks watched in stunned silence. Seo inhaled deeply, feeling Ma's soft presence balancing her, steadying the intervals between her heartbeats. Ready? She murmured. The boy nodded. They swung. The mallet met bronze. This time the bell did not crack. It sang. The tone rolled over the mountain, pouring down the slopes into the frozen village, into the forest, across rivers, through sleeping homes. Time shivered, then flowed. The hour that had refused to die finally found its place, in the music of the night. But far beyond the mountain, in the dark spaces between constellations, something older than bells stirred, watching a mortal girl who dared to rewrite how seconds lived and died. The night itself was listening now, and it would have questions. The midnight bell's song still trembled in the air when Seo felt the shift. It wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't even visible. It was a tug deep inside her ribs, where Ma rested like a folded-wing spirit. A tug that whispered, "Something is waking." Seo steadied herself, gripping her lantern tightly as dizziness washed over her. The boy noticed instantly. Seo, what's wrong? She tried to answer, but the pull grew stronger. Ma whispered again, this time sharp and urgent. Not the keeper, older, deeper, beneath. Seo's breath caught. Beneath? She whispered aloud. Beneath what? But she already knew. The mountain, the foundation of the temple, the very roots of time's rhythm. Something ancient, older than bells, older than pauses, older even than the first night, was stirring. And it was waking because the 13th bell had changed its oath, because Ma had chosen a heart, because a forgotten hour had been restored to the world. The night itself was adjusting, and something beneath the world did not approve. The monks had begun to move again, sluggish as newly thawed statues. Some crawled, some knelt in broken prayer, others pressed trembling palms to their ears, as if trying to stop echoes that no longer existed. One elder monk, his beard white as frost, stumbled toward Seo, shaking violently. You girl, lantern-bearer, listen. He seized her wrist with surprising strength. The bells bow to you, but the mountain does not. The roots below us, they're groaning. Seo stiffened, groaning. The elder nodded, sweat freezing on his forehead. Something ancient sleeps beneath the temple. Something the first monks feared. Something the bells were meant to keep quiet. The boy's face paled. I thought the bells kept time. They do, the elder rasped. But that is only half their duty. He leaned closer. The other half is keeping Hollow Night asleep. Seo's heartbeat jolted. Hollow Night? The elder swallowed hard. It is the emptiness that existed before time. A place without sound, breath, light, or memory. A silence so deep it devours hours before they form. Seo's breath froze in her chest. Ma trembled violently inside her. Don't let it wake, Seo whispered. Is Hollow Night alive? The elder hesitated. No one knows. Some say it sleeps. Some say it waits. Others say it only moves when the rhythm of time falters. The boy gasped, and the crack in the midnight bell was enough to stir it. The monk finished grimly. Seo shut her eyes, and the confrontation with the 13th bell pushed it further. Her lantern flickered low, as if bowing in apology. The air trembled. The courtyard stones beneath their feet shifted. A deep, grinding moan rose from somewhere below, like the earth itself drawing breath after centuries of stillness. The monks collapsed to their knees. The boy grabbed Seo's arm. It's happening again. But this was different. Last time the sky had cracked. This time, the ground did. A glowing fracture tore across the courtyard, splitting the snow and stone with a sound like distant thunder swallowed by darkness. Cold, pale light drifted upward, but not the soft blue of Ma, nor the silver of the 13th bell. This was emptier, hollower, a color that wasn't a color, a light that wasn't light. It made Seo's skin crawl. The boy whispered, terrified, "What is that?" Seo's lips parted. Hollow Night. The fissure widened, and something began to rise. The thing with no shape. It wasn't shadow. It wasn't mist. It wasn't anything the human mind was meant to see. It bent around itself, a form made of erased possibilities, unfinished moments, undone breaths, as if someone had tried to sketch a creature, using lines of absence instead of presence. It rose from the crack, towering, shifting, unraveling and reforming like a half-erased ink stroke. The monks screamed and covered their eyes. The boy stumbled backward. Seo alone stood frozen, because Ma inside her whispered, "It is the space before me, the silence before a pause, the nothing that births intervals." Seo swallowed. Hollow Night isn't a monster. It's the source of the pauses? Ma shivered. The boy stared at Seo. It's seeking Ma. Seo nodded. And because Ma is inside me, it's seeking you. The first bite of silence. The hollow thing lunged, not with limbs, but with erasure. The world dimmed around it, color draining from the snow, from the monks, from the sky. Seo felt her breath being pulled from her lungs, like the creature was inhaling her existence. She raised the lantern instinctively, and it ignited. A bright golden flare tore through the draining darkness. The hollow recoiled, its outline vibrating violently. Seo gasped for air. The boy grabbed her sleeve. Your lantern. It can hurt it. No, Seo whispered. It's not hurting it. It's reminding it. She stared at the trembling creature. It's made of nothing, but the lantern is made of memory. The boy frowned. What does that mean? It means memories can anchor time, and Hollow Night is time before memory. The creature lunged again. Seo held the lantern forward. The flames burst outward, but flickered wildly, unstable. Ma's voice trembled inside her. I can hold it, but not for long. Seo's jaw tightened. What does it want? The answer came not from Ma, but from the hollow itself. Its voice scraped through the air like breaking ice. Return. Return the unformed. Seo realized the truth. It wants Ma back, not because Ma is wrong, but because Ma was born from Hollow Night. The boy shook his head. But Ma doesn't want to go. Seo nodded. And I won't let it. The bells tried to sing. The hollow surged forward. Seo braced. But before it reached her, the 12 great bells above the courtyard trembled in unison. One note rang out, weak, cracked, desperate, but real. The hollow recoiled violently, its form splitting like smoke slapped by wind. Seo stared upward. The bells, they're trying to defend me. The boy grabbed the mallet again. I'll help. He sprinted toward the midnight bell. Seo reached out. No! But too late. The boy slammed the mallet into the bronze, and the bell screamed. Not a tone, a scream. Time recoiled. The sky flickered. The hollow surged with renewed hunger. Seo caught the boy as he was thrown backward, coughing blood. You can't ring it, she whispered. Not while it's still healing. He nodded weakly. Sorry. Seo looked up at the trembling bells, at her shaking lantern, at the creature of the world before time rising higher and higher. She whispered, I don't have enough strength alone. Ma's voice answered softly, You're not alone. And then she heard them, echoes, tiny ones, ripples of time from every monk, every falling snowflake, every flicker of candlelight, moments begging to be remembered, moments begging to be shaped, moments begging to help. Seo raised her lantern high. Then help me. The lantern burst open with light, not golden, not silver, not blue, but a warm, living brightness born from everything time had ever chosen to become. The choice Ma was born for. The hollow stopped. It shook. It shuddered. It stared at Seo, not with eyes, but with recognition. She took a step forward. You are the silence before the first breath, she whispered. You are the pause before the first heartbeat. You are the cradle of everything that ever tried to begin. The hollow trembled violently. But Ma! She touched her chest. Ma is the pause that lets us change. The lantern gleamed brighter. A warm wind stirred the snow. You are the space before meaning, she said softly. Ma is the space where meaning is chosen. The boy watched her in awe. Seo kept speaking, not to conquer the hollow, but to calm it. If Ma leaves me, The world will lose its choices. She swallowed. But if you lose Ma, you will lose your child. The hollow rippled, unstable, unsure. Seo held out her free hand. You don't want to consume Ma. You want to be whole. Ma whispered inside her. Offer it. The interval, share it. Seo understood. She opened her hand wide. Take some of Ma, she said softly. Not all. Just enough to remember what you were. The hollow froze. Then slowly, very slowly, it reached forward. This form touched Seo's hand. The courtyard dimmed. Time trembled. The lantern flared. Ma whimpered inside her chest, but only for a moment. Then, peace. A soft, warm pulse spread through Seo's body, and through the hollow's unfathomable shape. The creature stilled. Its form stopped flickering, and for the first time it felt complete. A voice brushed Seo's thoughts. Thank you, child of echoes. Then the hollow slowly sank back into the earth, not in hunger, but in rest. The crack sealed behind it. Silence returned. But this time it was a living silence. Not hunger, not erasure, just night. Seo collapsed to her knees. The boy rushed to her. Seo, are you all right? She nodded weakly. Yes, just tired. Ma whispered inside her. Faint but steady. Still here. Still yours. Seo smiled. Good. She looked up at the midnight bell. Its silver scar glowed softly. The mountain was quiet. Too quiet. Because something else was coming. Something older than Hollow Night. Something that had been listening to everything. The night wind stirred. The stars brightened. Seo stood shakily. The bells are calm, the boy said in relief. Yes, Seo murmured. But the sky isn't. She pointed upward. Clouds were gathering around the moon. Not white, not gray, but deep, shimmering indigo. A voice rolled across the mountaintop. Not from the earth. Not from the bells. But from the sky itself. Child of intervals, you have altered the night. Seo felt Ma tighten in her chest. The boy stepped back in terror. What now? Seo lifted her lantern, as the sky itself prepared to speak. The wind that swept across the mountaintop was no longer cold. It was ancient, older than the bells, older than Hollow Night, older even than the first dawn. It carried with it a depth that made the snow still, made the monks fall silent, and made even the stars seem to listen. Seo felt it before she heard it. A presence. Not crushing, not hostile, but immeasurably vast. Descending through the clouds like the breath of the sky itself. Ma trembled inside her. She comes. Seo's breath wavered. Who? The answer came not from Ma, not from the boy, not from any living mouth on that mountain, but from the sky. A voice rolled across the frozen air, deep and soft and resonant. The keeper of hours and heavens, the first listener, the mother of celestial rhythm. The monks gasped, falling to their knees. The boy whispered in awe, Seo, that's the sky matriarch. Seo swallowed hard. There were legends, whispers in old monasteries, about a being who created the very pattern of night and day. a being who shaped the first bells and carved the first hours from starlight. The matriarch was not a goddess. She was older, and she was here. The indigo clouds split soundlessly, peeling away like veils of silk. Light poured through, not bright like sunlight, not cold like moonlight, but something in between, something that hummed with every hour the world had ever known. A figure descended through the parting sky. She did not walk. She did not fly. She simply was moving with the ease of a thought, a dream, a moment between breaths. Her form shimmered, part woman, part constellation, her eyes vast as night's horizon and deep as the well of time. The boy fell flat against the snow. The monks bowed until their foreheads touched stone. Sao alone stayed on her feet, although her knees trembled. The matriarch's voice was soft enough to calm a dying storm, yet powerful enough to bend mountains. Child of intervals, step forward. Sao obeyed. She felt tiny, like a flicker in the darkness, but Ma pulsed inside her with a gentle certainty, reminding her she wasn't alone. When she stood before the matriarch, the celestial figure tilted her head, studying the lantern in Sao's hands. You carry an hour that should not exist. Sao steadied her voice. It exists now because it chose to. A faint smile, older than the sky itself, touched the matriarch's lips. So it did. She extended a hand toward Sao, not touching but inviting. Sao felt Ma stir. Don't be afraid. She lifted the lantern. The matriarch's eyes glowed brighter. Give it voice. Sao opened the lantern's tiny door. Warm light spilled out. A pulse of soft blue emerged, Ma's true essence, hovering like a trembling star. The matriarch examined it, expression unreadable. The hour of almost. The boy whispered the name reverently. The matriarch continued. The moment between one heartbeat and the next. The pause where mistakes become choices. The breath in which futures bend. She looked at Sao. You gave it a name, and so you gave it life. Sao exhaled slowly. Is that wrong? The mountain held its breath. The monks dared not look up. The matriarch closed her eyes, listening. Not to Sao, but to the entire night, to the bells, to the hollow, to the keeper of the 13th bell, wherever it now resided, to the rhythm of all living things. Finally she spoke. No. Sao almost collapsed with relief, but the matriarch wasn't finished. Yet a named hour must have purpose. A place in the cycle, a bell to contain it. Sao's heart stumbled. She looked at the 12 bells. The cracked midnight bell, the dawn bell, the dusk bell, each with a role, an identity, a place. Does Ma need a bell? The matriarch nodded. Every hour needs an anchor, even those born by accident. Sao swallowed. She knew where this was going. And if it doesn't have one? The matriarch's voice softened. It will tear the cycle apart. Not in malice. In longing. Ma whispered inside her. Pained. I don't want to break anything. I just want to stay. Sao closed her hand gently over the lantern. I'll find a place for it, whatever it takes. The matriarch's gaze deepened. You already have. The bell rope stilled. The air calmed. The mountains seemed to wait. Sao lifted her lantern. Inside, Ma pulsed like a heartbeat made of fragile light. Will it hurt? Sao whispered back, only if you want to leave me. A trembling pause. Then, I want to stay, but I want to belong too. Sao nodded. Then let's do both. She stepped beneath the midnight bell. The boy stood behind her silent. The matriarch watched with ancient calm. Sao lifted the lantern toward the silver-scarred bronze. Ma, she whispered, I'm not giving you away. I'm giving you a home. Light gathered inside the lantern. Snow rose from the ground. The bell glowed with a quiet, unbroken warmth. Ma whispered, Thank you, Sao. And then, the hour flowed from Sao's chest, through her hands, into the lantern, and from the lantern, into the midnight bell. The bronze lit like a moon suddenly remembering its own name. The scar healed from within, not erasing the crack, but transforming it, turning it into a gleaming thread of constellations. The bell hummed, once, twice, a third time, and its new voice spread across the mountain, deep, soft, and full of possibility. The hour of almost had found its place. The bells responded one by one. Dawn chimed gently. Dusk trembled in delight. Noon rang with laughter. Evening added a soft harmony. The mountain vibrated with the rhythm of a healed night. The monks wept openly. The boy smiled through tears. Sao felt her chest lighten. Empty, but not lonely. Ma's whisper no longer lived in her heart, but Sao could feel it in the bell. Alive, steady, belonging. The matriarch stepped toward her. You have done what even guardians could not. Sao bowed her head. I only named an hour that needed a name. The matriarch smiled again. You named it. You held it. You defended it. And you returned it with love. A gentle hand rested on Sao's shoulder. You are no longer merely a listener of echoes. Sao looked up wide-eyed. What am I now? The matriarch's voice flowed like starlight. You are the keeper of between. Sao's breath hitched. The keeper. Not of a bell. The matriarch shook her head. But of the places where choices form, where breaths hesitate, where hearts change direction. Sao touched her chest, now still, lantern resting quietly at her side. I don't know how to do that. You already have. The sky shimmered. The matriarch began to rise. Walk the world. Listen to its pauses. And when an hour falters, give it a name. Sao stepped forward. Will I see you again? The matriarch's eyes softened like a mother watching her child take their first step. When the night forgets its song, I will call you. She ascended beyond the clouds. The sky closed. The winds calmed. The night breathed. The last ring. Sao turned to the boy. He wiped his face, smiling shakily. What now? Sao lifted the lantern, no longer glowing, but warm. Now, she said softly, we ring the midnight bell again. They stepped together. The monks gathered behind them. The world waited. Sao and the boy gripped the mallet. They swung. The bell rang. Beautifully. A sound that held every hour, including the one that almost never existed. Far below the mountain, in the deepest silence of hollow night, A small pulse of light beat gently, in harmony with the world. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth.